quickly do a tour of the full EOL racetrack. The EOL finals is gonna happen here, and I'm gonna go through all the features together with you in this video, so you get a proper idea of what these guys are enduring. So this is the start pallet, and it starts with a little drop. As you can see, it's tricky because when you start, you already have to take that first obstacle, and some guys even push too hard, and the nose drop is sometimes unavoidable. Then we have this straight lane, which looks easy, but as a matter of fact, there's a lot of potholes all over the grass. Vince definitely noticed that last year because I saw him tumbling in the mass race right here, so you really have to watch out for the potholes. And then we get the first obstacle to slow people down. You take a left or a right, and you have to slalom through this thing with all the haystacks. It definitely is tricky because everybody is still together in the race here. So it's pretty tight to get through those corners with all the people blasting through there at once. Then we have a straight section going into the first 180 degree. There's a little berm here that can keep you in place, and here you can already see the surface changing. Wind is picking up a little bit as well. I'm gonna slow down so that you can still understand me, otherwise it's gonna be all a windy mess. But there are some sandy patches and some loose gravel all over. And then we come to the next obstacle, which is a flat bank with a pretty steep up and down to slow the riders down, because we have a very dangerous section coming up. In the video of last year, you can see that some people actually tumbled and broke some stuff, and that's because there's cars passing right here, and you have these little dents into the surface, which are really tricky, because if you get caught in there and your machine cannot handle the stress, then you go down. The Skrrrt team knows about that. Then we have this butterfly construction, I forgot the name, but you have to get up it and then choose, or you go bonk right ahead, or you go this way and you do the balancing thingy, up, and you drop, and then you go. The drop is obviously the fastest route. The most riders, experienced riders, are going for that, but sometimes somebody just fell, and it's better to take the side option because people are in the way sometimes and you have to get around them. Okay, then a 90-degree turn straight into the sandy section. Let's take some speed here, as the riders will, and then we come into the pit. So there's a downhill here and an uphill. People are flying through this section. Hop, still in the grass with a bit of a single trail. And then 180 degree. This is different than last year. And we have some trainers already on the track. Go get them, man. Ooh! As you can see, if you push too hard, it is still very tricky getting up the camel lump number 1, lump number 2, up, and then straight ahead into the forest section. And this is where it gets interesting because it gets more slippery here. Okay, let the riders pass who are training. As you can see, these guys are really blasting full speed in these sections. So if you have a fast machine, this is where you catch up or where you make the gap. And then after this really fast section, a tight turn into the Skrrrt. And this is really an interesting duel because you have to get over this safely. And I can say the shape of that really tends to throw people off, and once you get over it, you do like a Skrrrt move, and that's the cool thing about this whole construction. It is tricky, and it can be a game changer if you're in the lead or if somebody is in front of you. It can definitely make the difference, and you might be able to pass them. Okay, another pretty straight section, which is really fast. So the riders will be going full speed in this section. As you can see, one of the riders training, and it's a big loop. It is a bit tricky because it has loose sand, gravel. As you can see, the board is not that stable here. Whoop. Then we have a few bumps and lumps to cross into another 180-degree section, but with loose sand all over the place. So you have to be grippy here. All right, show you how. Loose sand everywhere, as you can see. Up. That's the tricky stuff that you want to avoid. A lot of sand here in those turns. Oh, chunk. Better take the outside line. More firm here. Still speedy section. And then we go into the pine forest, which is very tricky because here on the ground you will see there's a lot of roots, and because your eyes have to change because of the sun and shade that changes all the time, it's very hard to spot them in these kind of areas, and you could be on the ground before you know it. So people really have to watch out here. It also goes a bit uphill, and then we have a massive uphill 180-degree turn that will take us to the highest part of the track. Going up here, yes, the little XR growler manages some obstacles right here. And then we have options. So there's two lines here, and this is the biggest change that has happened this year. So you can either go straight, which is going in loops, and then you have an obstacle right there, or you can go into these single track areas, which has a lot of berms, and this comes out at the massive gap jump which has been added this year, and that's like a massive speedy gap that you have to take. The people with the flight fins are definitely benefiting there, but we'll go through both lines and I'll show you both of them. So let's first ride down on the single track that ends up on the jump, and then I'll come back up and show you the beeline because they're both interesting. So let's go. If my board wants to start. Yeah, kickstart the little donkey. Camera tight and berms. Oh, but very sandy berms. Little uphills. This is tricky to get speed. Here it splits up into left and right. Let's go right. Couple berms. And then a straight line, which is pretty bumpy already to get some speed. And here you end up at the kicker. And it's quite a gap. It's a 7-foot gap. It doesn't look so big from here, but believe me, it is big. We reshaped it a bit yesterday to make the landing a bit lower, because the landing was a bit too high for the people without fins. And we also made like a little bunk rail under here, which now makes sure that all the people without the fins also get some airtime to clear this gap, because otherwise the people with the fins were too much in the advance. So that's why we changed up the game. Thanks PJ and the whole crew who shoveled the whole thing down yesterday. And now I'm just gonna ride up there and we're gonna check out that beeline, because it also has features and it's pretty interesting. So let's see you up there. Going into the beeline. And what's up here? Options to go there and here. It's a bit unclear. That needs to be fixed for the race. Everything should be clear as a daisy. And then here, the chicken line and the chicken line. I'm going for the chicken line up, which is a waterfall drop feature. And as you can see, not that easy, because you have to do 5 drops in a row. So the chicken line is also pretty hefty, and then we have the chicken line, which has something to do with the hay bales here. So we'll definitely need to clear that out for the race, but options upon options, which is cool, and it makes it interesting for the racers. Everybody can choose his line and make sure that they get down safely. All right, let's continue the track run. So straight ahead into this sandy section, which can be tricky all the time. You have to watch out also for the roots. And then we have a very sandy turn, which is very tricky. Let's see how speedy you can go through this. Slipping and sliding. Almost at a standstill for that one. Then we're going uphill again. More sand and more tricky business. Going through the whole thing. Uphill. We have nose dips. Pushing hard. Up. And then we get into this downhill section, which again has a lot of sand, tricky routes, but most of the people are gonna fly through here. Boom. And then sharp turn, sandy turn, and this is a tricky section again, because you have to pass these logs and these dents up. That will be a game changer for some people. And this is also a tricky section because it's very technical. If you're racing and want to go fast, you really want to fly through here. That's not always possible. Followed by this uphill section, where obviously we'll lose some speed. Going through the bushes, all the way through the bushes. Single track. This is new. Single track through the thorny bushes. This is gonna be tight if riders are gonna be close together. And then the section that we know from last year, which is a very sandy single track, also tricky. If you push too hard, you will go down. See how we get through here with this little growler. There's a few features. Right here we have the log feature. It's like there's a few gaps in between the logs and they're not quite even, so it's quite tricky. So you have to jump and land into this sandy pit, which always makes it harder to land in because of the sand. You really need to have a good tire to grip in that area. So some logs always, which if you're on a speed you can jump, but here if you go slow, quite tricky. Sandy berms, not the speediest section, but it is technical, and at the end of the course this again can make some difference. And we have some other logs and drop, and the more the riders pass here, the more of a potato field it gets, and that makes it harder if you get into those finals. We're gonna try to have some people on the track that will fix the heaviest parts. So if there are zones that are getting too destroyed, we will have some people going in and fix it. And then we have this double feature, which is also a hefty one because it's a steep uphill, and then you have to get up this ladder. So we'll need some speed for that. Yes. Oh, I think we have it. 1, 2. That was intense. Ooh. For the lower back, I should have skipped that, but we did it anyway. Adrenaline always kicks in on these boards. Then we have a last big corner going into the straight line to the finish with the birdies. Again, potholes, tricky terrain to get to the finish. And the really fast boys will just gap and jump this last obstacle, as you can ride on it, bam, and they finish. So that will be the OWA EOL Championship race terrain for you guys. Let me know in the comments what you think of this track, what you would change, and what you definitely would be in for. So ladies, have fun. Cheers. And on that note, I'm gonna love you and leave you. Peace out, and I'll see you on the next one. Bam.